So I recently saw Jingle All the Way 2, or at least part of it. I certainly don't feel motivated to watch that movie in its entirety. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a good one either. It's not even an okay movie. It's more like a not quite bad, but really close to being bad movie. What perplexes me is why do they call it Jingle All the Way 2? It's not in any continuity to the original Jingle All the Way. It doesn't bring back any of the original characters. It doesn't bring back the same location. It doesn't bring back the same toys or the same world. All it is another story about fathers trying to get their children that one Christmas toy that is so popular it's sold out at every location. It's basically just a repeat of the same scenario from the last movie. That's the only thing that warrants it being a sequel to anything. I don't know why they gave this movie that name. And what we are seeing in this movie is, like I said, just the rehashing of the old plot from the last movie, only this time with Larry the Cable Guy instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a completely new setting, new everything. They basically take that same plot, take out what made Jingle All the Way 2 funny, and deliver a story you've already seen with a completely new cast of characters and setting. Now, here's the rundown of what happens. Larry the Cable Guy's character is a father of a little girl who is divorced or separated or something, and he's competing with the girl's stepfather to see who can give this girl the better Christmas. And there's other characters in the story who get involved as they all go after this big hot selling Christmas toy that is sold out at every location. Basically, Jingle All the Way, except the little boy is a little girl this time, and instead of having that Power Rangers-esque action figure, it's a talking bear, rather much like the Tickle Me Elmo doll. Now, here's the twist that separates the two movies, so spoiler warning from here on out. In Jingle All the Way, Arnold Schwarzenegger got the toy he wanted by riding on the float in the big parade and dressing up as the superhero and battling the other guy who was dressed up as the supervillain for the toy. And he got the toy and gave it to his kid, and a few other things happened along the way. In Jingle All the Way 2, Larry the Cable Guy realizes that his daughter's stepfather is so wealthy that he's been buying every single toy in the entire area, and now nobody has any in stock, and no one can give this toy to their children because one guy has bought and hoarded all of the toys just to get back at Larry the Cable Guy's character and made himself look like an awesome father for getting the girl the toy that she always wanted. And then there's a resolution to this problem, and the stepfather eventually does the right thing and gives back all the toys. Then, further spoiler warnings, there's a little twist at the end of the movie where the girl reveals that she never asked for this toy in the first place, and the whole thing was one big misunderstanding and a sequence of events that didn't have to happen if the little girl had spelled correctly and put the correct spacing in her sentence. It's an interesting twist, but not enough to bring this up from bad to okay, only to take it from bad to slightly less bad. All in all, I'm calling this a movie that didn't need to be made and a sequel that nobody asked for. And as far as sequels go, this is every bit as much a sequel to Jingle All the Way as Batman the Animated Series is to Star Wars, just for having Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker. It has absolutely no connection at all to the other movie, except that both are set during Christmas. Both are about fathers trying to impress their kid and outshine the stepfather and trying to fix their family life by getting a hot toy that's sold out everywhere. Every other detail is completely changed around, and we don't even have the charming humor of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and instead have to put up with the constant poop and fart jokes of Larry the Cable Guy. Now, take it for whatever it's worth. I don't have a high opinion of this movie, but it was certainly more enjoyable than the Grumpy Cat Christmas special, which I couldn't even get through 5 minutes of before I turned it off. And it's certainly a lot better than Murray Saves Christmas, which I turned off within the first 10 seconds of seeing what they were doing with these characters. So far this year, Christmas specials have been pretty awful, and it's going to take a lot of doing before we get some good new Christmas specials from this year, or even next year. Hopefully 2015 will be an improvement over 2014. Anyhow, if you want my recommendations, break out the 80s TV shows and the anime and some of the 90s TV shows, and go enjoy those, because that's where the real classics are. Anyhow, thank you for watching, and good night.